Hey guys, now that we're a week into rating, we've been able to see how the market is handling actual consumer demand instead of the speculative investor demand from the weeks without rating. So, this has been really interesting to me, so I wanted to just give my thoughts here and point out some things I've noticed. I also wanted to start preparing you guys for phase two and what types of items to look out for, even though it's still pretty far off. We just started rating Karazhan, right? Okay, anyways, let's just get into it. Let's start with Terocone because this is going to be my new obsession. I already know about it. There's been continuous upward pressure here, but the excess supply is so large that the price keeps defending itself really easily. There's just so much excess supply from the 2 weeks without rating that whenever it goes up in price, let's say above 2 gold, everyone tries to sell and there's just such a really hard ceiling. Though, since it keeps doing this, it is an indication that this excess supply is being burned and eventually it'll break out. We just don't know when this is going to happen. Because if excess supply is massive, it could take months to break out of this. And I don't know this excess supply. Nobody does except the developers. We can only guess. So until we burn through a good chunk of the reserves of Terocone, the upside is unfortunately going to be very small. It is a good sign, though, that despite massive investor dumping starting Friday and moving into the weekend, the price still rose above 2.1 gold. So there is insane demand for this item, even though the supply is huge. Perhaps the best way to take advantage of Terocone is to play the volatility, since there's going to be investors leaving at random times, since there's so many investors, and they're going to be tanking the price at random points during the week. So it may be worthwhile to pick those up when they're cheap and then sell them during the high points of the week. Okay, let's move on to another disappointment, which has just been flame caps. The demand for these just doesn't seem to be there, especially over the weekend, the first rating weekend. I think they almost went up to 4 gold, but they were never really in danger of selling out. So players have been clear. They don't care about 5 DPS increase. That lasts only for a minute, and I don't blame them. Perhaps this might change in the future, but for now supply seems to be fully meeting demand, and I expect this just to trade sideways with spikes during the peak hours. Next, let's look at Mana Thistle, and this was not as a disappointment. It did way better than I expected. Demand is there, and there's clearly just not enough of this because it just keeps going up in price. If more players start raiding, this is going to continue going up in price since it's so sensitive to just small increases demand, since there's so little available. I'm definitely not going to be selling any of this yet, and probably just waiting a couple more weeks. Next up is Fellweed, Morning Glory, and Super Mana Potions. These all sold out completely on Sunday, with Super Mana Potions going up to 6.5 gold each. Usually when items vanish completely like this, they're too cheap. But perhaps it could also be players leveling their alchemy and taking a large portion of these herbs off the market. So I will be watching this closely again next weekend. Fel Lotus was also reset twice, I think, so take that as you will. In addition to this, there was also crazy upward pressure on Nether Bloom over the weekend, and it's looking like this may be the bottleneck to haste potions this time, not Terocone. Finally, it doesn't look like the bots are fishing. The meat and fish market looks completely healthy. I still don't know where they are, so it still scares me quite a bit. Okay, that's it for observations. I want to talk about the plan for phase 2. Basically, consumables that are used in the new raids, but will still be used in Karazhan, will likely do very well. But I don't actually know what these are yet. Because remember, the time spent raiding is going to go up significantly, so people just need more consumables. So I want you guys to ask yourselves, when phase 2 comes out, will I still even be running Karazhan? And if so, which consumables will I still use in all the raids, the new raids and Karazhan? But don't tell me, just keep it to yourself. It's worth mentioning that there are 2 additional mobs that are added in phase 2 that drop more herbs. So the supply of some herbs is actually going to be going up in phase 2. And these mobs are the Talonsworn Forest Rager and the Underbog Colossus. They're going to be camped incredibly hard since they can drop up to 8 Mana Thistles, which are already getting quite expensive. So expect the supply of anything on their drop table to get a nice bump. So even if the consumable is used in all the raids, it may not go up as much as expected since supply goes up too. Therefore, look for consumables which aren't on these drop tables. Just as an example, Nether Bloom isn't on the drop table. I'm not saying to buy Nether Bloom. I don't even know if players will continue using Haste Potion in Karazhan 2 months from now. It's just an example. Yep. That's it. Thanks for listening.